Hello, 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 hello.
call this meeting, regular meeting of the Tahlequah Public School Board to order and tell Wendy that we're all present. Mr. Myers is Zooming with us. Everybody else is here. So let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item D, discussion and vote to approve or not to approve monthly financials.
Approve the monthly financials.
We gotta let Diane talk.
We can go ahead if we.
We can do that, right?
Yeah.
Just skip off.
Yeah.
Okay, page 1, cash balance in the general fund at the end of June was $8,852,000 compared to $37.97. Building fund, $739,866.95. After the June and July payrolls, we were back in the hole in the co-op fund, but you'll be happy to know we did make payment back to that. That should show up on the next bank statement balance sheet. The sinking fund has $83,399.45. Collections, page 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Collections in the general fund, $3,382,504.94. Collections in the building fund, $9,305.95. Collections in the sinking fund, $43,213.10. Payroll expenditures in the month of June, which includes payroll for July, is $4,510,233.93. And AP was $1,206,357.69. That did include our 1-to-1, the beginning phase of our computer purchases, which is the main reason that one is so higher. It does also include a few things that we purchased for COVID-19, some masks, some of the steam cleaning things, and a lot of other things that we wouldn't have otherwise normally purchased. Anybody have any questions about the general building bond sinking? Activity fund, cash fund is $555,285.63. You can find this information page 19 through 23. And the CDs were at $255,432.70. So the end balance for the activity fund was $810,718.33. Tonight, we are asking you to approve 2 supplementals, one for the general fund. Does include our CARES Act money, the original, and the special ed CARES money. The second grant we did not officially receive until after July 1, so you'll see that in the estimate of needs coming up in September. And we would also like to ask you to update the account description for Save a Senior, since the original description did not have transportation in it, and that's a big chunk of what they're using. Any questions?
I'll make the motion to approve the financial statements.
I'll second that. We need to include Save the Senior description in that motion.
I'd see one.
Okay. Who's seconded? Okay. Any discussion? Ms. Nemo?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Walker?
Aye.
Mr. Myers?
Aye.
And I. Principals Directors Report.
That's Ms. Jones. With all the COVID, we've kind of got out of the habit of
inform him about the different things going on in the district because we've been wrapped up in COVID response. So just to kind of gradually get back to normal, we typically have a director or principal within each month. So try to get back in that habit, back on the routine. This is lucky number one the other night. So we actually talk about the backpack, the grants, after-school programs, mass donations, those kinds of things.
If you know me, you know I can talk a lot, but I promised people I would be fast and furious. That way we didn't take a lot of time. But I know everything that we're doing during the day and these meetings and what you're doing is all very hard right now. So I wanted to shed some positive things, share some things that are going on in the district in case you don't know. So our backpack program. We have a backpack program where we send home about 125 backpacks with kids, typically on a Friday. Of course, when school got dismissed for this event, we could not do that because they weren't at school. So we immediately worked with the social services team and got a plan together to do what we do during the summer. And so since March, we have done 16 weeks of home deliveries with about 50 different homes once a week. We have sent home 1,872 plus bags of food so far. To do this, we have 6 to 8 staff members that are helping delivering each week. And most of these people that are helping do this are doing on their own time, their own vehicle, just volunteering their time every week. When we do this, we get to do well child checks. Today, we took around a clothing questionnaire because Lacey had started gathering clothing from our staff as they were home cleaning out closets. And that has all been cleaned and sorted and sized. And now we have taken questionnaires to these 50 homes and asked them, hey, what sizes of your children in your home? And then we're going to go back through what we have, and the next backpack delivery, we're going to deliver those close to them as well. The backpack program is done on donations. And so just a random conversation with someone who happened to have an in with Steve Worth ended up a phone call from me one day and said, hey, I heard you need some donations for your backpack program. Asked me some questions about it. Next day, got a phone call, gave me $10,000 the next day. The next, like 2 days later, had another $7,000 donation. That's just the power of talking in relationships with people in your community. So that's been so wonderful. So we had a $10,000 donation directly for the backpack program from an Edward Jones client that just wanted to remain anonymous. We had a $5,000 donation from T-Mobile that I think Diane has mentioned before, and many other small donations go into that program. And like Cornerstone's one of those that has that's one of their donations they do once a month. So that's how we run that program. But to visit 50 homes 16 times, can't tell you how great that is to go and see those families every week. Did this today, Nikki and I did, and they wait for us. They run out. They're excited when you're there. It's happy and sad at the same time because you never want to see a child be happy that you're bringing food, but they are. They're happy that you're bringing food, and they're so appreciative of that. Something else we've done with our 21st Century Grant, of course, we couldn't have our after-school program when we weren't in school. But so for the first couple months, for April and May, we did packets, and we sent home over 100 packets every week. With our deliveries that we sent to like Fox and other places that we shipped them to. But for the month of June, we had to be somewhat creative for our typical summer school. So we had a summer extended learning program. We served 446 students in this virtual, distance, I want to make sure I'm using the right word, distance summer learning program. 340 of those were TPS students, and of course Briggs is in that grant with us, so 106 were Briggs students. We did what was called curbside connections, and this was our staff actually going to people's homes, meeting them outside, sitting on the front porch, doing an activity with usually not just that student, but the entire family would be out there before it was all over. We did 1,144 home visits in the month of June with our students. Not only did we do activities with them, but we brought them sacks full of crayons and markers and watercolors and pipe cleaners to make things and sidewalk chalk to do art with. And we started with those kids who were on the backpack program that we knew that maybe wasn't going to get to be on Wi-Fi to see what we put out on Facebook, or have someone that could take them to buy those things. Puzzles, kites. We played soccer with them. We did all kinds of activities with those kids outside in safe social distancing. But
144 home visits, I think is astounding for the month of June for those students. The teachers have said it is the most valuable experience they have ever done. I mean, I had one, Heather Taylor, you know, she's over 20 years of experience. Favorite thing she's ever done as an educator. I just cannot begin to tell you the relationships that we were able to form with that. We saw things that made us cry, literally cry. We saw things that absolutely made our day. And it's something that we hope to continue in our after-school program, even when we don't have to, because the relationships that were formed are just absolutely irreplaceable. We had a total of 209 learning postings on our social media site that we created just for summer learning. We posted 122 different learning videos. Some of these are ones that we had been passed on from different source to different source, but most of them were our staff members showing them how to cook or showing them how to sew or showing them how to crochet. We did have 34 students that actually came and did running and bike club outside, and we had 39 students who did robotics or STEAM activities every week. This program was not what we expected when we started talking about summer learning, but you know, the staff just really got together, figured it out, and hit it out of the ballpark. Something else I wanted to say, a positive thing, were the masks. If you are on social media, you notice that we're doing a kind of a mask drive on Facebook. What we wanted to do was get one sewn washable mask for all 3,600 students. So right now we have 772 hand sewn delivered masks, some from as far as New York State. We'll put those in quarantine for a little bit, make sure they don't have germs on them if anyone's worried about that. But that was just a former TPS student that saw that on Facebook, lived in New York, said, hey, I want to help where I came from. We have, every day I go in and they're just piles of more. We have adult size, we have kid size, and I have to love these little baby ones that are almost like a Band-Aid. We're not sure if any of our students this will actually fit on. And sometimes you have really tiny ones at pre-K, but we even have this size mask for our students that can come. So those families that can't provide their own, we want to at least give them something to start out with, like everybody else in the class. So we just picked up 1,500 a day from the Methodist Church that were donated, and they're all like high school size. So we already went ahead to take them to the Lacey at the high school. We have ordered with donations, because some people just donate money to the Tigers Roar to purchase masks. And we ordered 1,000 more reusable child size today. Something like you have on, but with just a smaller TT logo down in the corner. Again, Steve Worth, when he called me, he got me another $10,000 in that category as well. So not only the backpack program, but Tigers Roar, because Tigers Roar, we do things that are like eyeglasses, or if they need help getting a driver's license or a birth certificate, it costs money. If we need to take them to get clothes, if a family loses everything they have in a fire, we can do that kind of thing from that account. So both of those have pretty healthy balances right now, just because of the goodness of people in our community. We spend a lot, especially when we're in school, and so we can need to continue getting those donations, but wanted to give you a little bit of that information. Also, I will stop talking after I tell you, I put a little handout kind of on where you sit. Every year I try to give you just a little synopsis of what's going on in the grant world. We did receive a new grant this morning, but I'm gonna let Mr. Ashlock tell you about that. Big and exciting, something new for our district. But this just tells you a little bit about each of those programs. So what I would love for you to do is just look over this and find some time that you can call me or come sit with me, or I can come sit with you and I can explain all this to you. So if someone asks, you know, about all of these programs. And I think that is all I have, unless you have any questions for me.
You did an awesome job.
Thank you. I work with awesome people, and I get to work with people and do things for people with these grants, which makes it worth coming to work every day.
You said Steve, so Steve has got clients who need to make donations for financial reasons.
Absolutely.
And he connects us with them.
Yes.
So that's amazing.
Yes.
Thank you, Steve, for that.
It's something to do with their retirement account, that they have to give so much away, something's way above my head. But once he knew what we needed, he said, I've got some people that maybe might want to help you. And some of those people that have to give away anywhere from $10,000 a year, and he thinks he can make some of that be a reoccurring donation for us. Yes.
We also, I know on the Masteride folks were asking about making monetary donations, and they were told they could mail or drop money off here. And then of course people asked about maybe online donations. We don't currently have the ability to accept those. I reached out to Foundation, just, I didn't know if they could take online donations, and I didn't know if they would direct funds to a certain thing. And they said yes, that if anyone wanted to donate, they could use the Foundation PayPal or credit card form, and just in the memo put Household masks, and that they would either purchase and donate the mask or give the money directly to the school to purchase masks, and they were willing to do that. So I'll follow up and get a little more information that we can, even if it's in our personal capacity, share that on social media. But they said they would be happy to do that as well.
That's wonderful, because there have been questions about that. It's a lot easier to do that, yes.
Yeah, they don't even have checkbooks anymore, so.
The power of social media is, if we didn't know it before this, now we know it after this world crisis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Superintendent's report.
Okay. First off, I'll just put down the list here. The first thing I'm going to talk about is our virtual enrollment. That was our 2 approved tracks, go virtual or traditional. With an online form, they can also call the board office, or they can come to the board office, or call their principal, try to make it easy as possible. Tracking that 2 to 3 hours ago, we had 453 total virtual enrollments. And how that breaks down, we have 1 at Central, 149 at the high school. We have 100 middle school, 71 at Heritage, 59 at Greenwood, 66 at Cherokee, and 1 at Sequoia. So pretty even across the board. Obviously, there's a lot more kids at the high school, but as far as numbers go, it kind of goes across the spectrum there. We are, this will be our first year offering a full-blown virtual option. We've had a limited option, mainly for credit recovery and a few special circumstances in the past. So we're learning as we go. Our principals are doing a great job trying to figure that out. Like that, a great job. We're all trying to make it the best we can. I've had questions, Ms. Walker asked questions, so I'll just kind of move at that point. At the high school level, it is an online software called Edmental. Our students will do incorporate with Google Classroom as well as at the elementary level. Will be Seesaw, incorporate Google Classroom as well. The question out there is about Epic. It's not going to be 100% apples for apples. We don't use all the same software that they do, but they offer an online software and a certified teacher to correspond with you. That's exactly what we're going to offer. So anybody thinking they need to leave Tahlequah to go to another online school, it's really not any different. But on the flip side of that, we care about your kids and they care about your money. That's the main difference between the two. We truly care about your kids. We want them back eventually. And so that's the thing that anybody who asks that question, we will do within the next, this week, next week, we'll do our best to put out as much as we can to the newspaper and on our social media sites and on our website about what that is going to look like. And in all honesty, it's going to be fluid. We'll come across something that we didn't do great, so we'll change it. We'll do it better. If those kids get into it, we'll see what we can do better. But we're working really hard. All of your administrators are working really hard. Your teachers, everybody trying to make that as good as we possibly can. So we'll work in progress.
I had a question also. Would the virtual learning, would they follow up with packets from the classroom for that grade level?
Right now, no, because one of my main concerns is it's hard to, from a teacher, to put a teacher in a classroom. You have 30 kids.
Right.
You have the 30 kids in front of you, so you know what you're doing. If we now try to overlap that, give them 15 and 15, and they're trying to do something different for the virtual, something different for here. So we're really trying to have a group of teachers, we hope to, that's how it's going to be, but they focus on the virtual. So it's not going to be 100% in step with what Mr. Pack is doing different, because the software will kind of drive that virtual. And there's not a better way around it, because there's not a replacement for being in Mr. Black's classroom. So that software is not going to be the same. But in order for us to facilitate that for those kids at home, we don't have the ability for every teacher to be in front of a camera teaching that kid while they're sitting in the house from 8 to 3. You know, and plus a lot of these kids, we've learned that when you're virtual, you're not up at 8. You know, starting the first hour like the other kids are, so they may not get on until afternoon or until it's dark. You know, so that it really has to kind of be that platform that way they can all along and do that. But our teachers will be there longer to help them.
And if they stay with our programs, they can have interaction with,
Yes.
and dialogue with teachers.
Yes, we'll have teachers, we have technology coaches ready to help, they'll have principals still there to help them, they'll still have all the access to, you know, our feeding programs, our counselors, our, everything that the other online schools can offer. They can offer them a software program and a computer, and a teacher to call if they live in another county or 3 counties away. We can offer them a Tahlequah education the best we can in circumstances. So that's what we're really want to try to stress.
Will we do some distance? Will that be available for if students are on these Google Classroom virtual programs? Will it be set up so that they can contact the teachers through Zoom or distance?
Yes, you know, and again, we're working on that, so I don't want to speak out of turn and say something's not, but they will have a teacher that will be assigned to them. They can contact them, phone calls, emails, and they can also contact their principal. Their principal is still their principal, all the services that we have. But yes, we'll have somebody assigned to help them along the way, and then, you know, that specific teacher that may not be there, they may not be certified now, whatever the case may be. But we'll still have these other teachers available to help. Get to that.
Well, these are the questions that
Yes, ma'am.
I've been asked, so I wanted you.
And I know there's a
an
lot of
opportunity.
questions,
Yeah.
so we'll try to do the best we can to answer all those. And as I said, anybody, you know, we're talking with, we talked to the other day and also today, anybody who calls or puts in a withdrawal request, we're calling that thing. We're saying, you know, why, number one. Number two, if you're leaving us for another virtual, we're trying to lay out, here's what we're doing. You know, it's not any different than where you're going. We'll get all the benefits that Tahlequah School can offer. So we're doing our best to try to put that out there anytime that we hear it. And we'll plaster that out more, you know, coming weeks.
So we're offering the full virtual plus an extended
Yeah.
aspect.
Yes, and then those kids can still, you know, if they want to do choir, they can
Right.
still at the campus 1 hour a day do choir. If they want to play baseball, they can still on campus. So we offer many things that they can't get somewhere else.
What's the current cutoff to sign up for virtual?
I think Stafford is the 29th.
Yes. The one thing that I would ask that we look at maybe pushing back because there's been all of these questions and because we haven't, a lot
That's
of
an-
people are undecided.
Yeah, that's an initial date for us because we have to have an end target because we're gonna start planning schedules, teachers.
So
There's gonna be kids who come the first day in school and enroll. We know that. We're gonna have to plan that. That happens every year, whether it's, you know, virtual, COVID, or whatever the case may be. So we will be flexible. You know, we don't wanna lose students. We'll be flexible if we can, but our counselors have a tremendous job. Our principals are trying to schedule all this fair and equitable as we can for our teachers. So we just had to have a date, that way we can start dispersing. And then we'll leave some spaces in there that way, because we know that's gonna happen.
I have had a lot of parents reach out and ask questions and they just are undecided. Today there's an announcement that some schools push back start dates. You know, there's still a chance that something happens at the statewide level.
Yes.
that we're mandated to do something. And I think everyone is just, we expect this to get worse. We don't know how much worse, and people are very anxious about the process.
And I
I'm glad
guess,
to hear there's some flexibility.
I guess the main message, anybody thinking of leaving us for another online, we just need to stress that there's really no need. You're going to get more here. Get there, worried about coming to school in person, fine. You know, you don't have to choose between us and Epic, you can still stay here. And we are gonna, we're working on ways to be flexible to allow, we had initially said, you know, you had to commit for the semester. Visiting with our principals the other day, you know, there's a whole lot of issues that came up. Well, what about this? Well, what about this? You know, someone in my family was maybe maybe sick. There's just all kinds of things. So we're working to be more flexible to that. We're looking at allowing, maybe a change per semester, one change. So we're still looking at that, and it's still evolving because we don't want to lose students because we're too what we do. But at the same time, we have to plan, so we have to have numbers, we have to have teachers in place, we have to have those. So we have to have a little structure up front. We're not just running around on August 13th, which we're probably going to be a little bit anyway, but if we can avoid some of those things, that's our goal.
So all the virtual, we get to count.
Yes,
Anybody who goes to Epic, we don't count. We don't get to count.
they're in another school.
Okay.
What is the roughly the per student's amount that we?
We are still waiting on this year's amount. Remember last year's?
It was just over 6,300, I believe.
And it's, I'll talk about that in a minute. It's kind of odd. We still don't have our state aid
I
this
just,
year.
but that's an important to talk about this losing funding for every
And that's
child
what,
that withdraws
Yeah.
from.
Yeah,
and our community
virtual,
needs to know
our
that
school.
this is their school, and you leave, all that money goes with,
right.
wherever you're enrolled on October 1, that's where your money goes. If you come back to us October the 2nd, your money still goes to Epic, and we still have to provide everything for that student for the rest of the year.
That's the other thing. If they start there, if they're there on October 1 and then realize 2 days later they don't like it and they want to come back, we have to take them,
Yes,
but we
if
don't
there are
get the
students
funding
who have
for
to take
that
it, but
student.
we don't get any money that comes with it. So that's something our community needs to know.
I've been worried about, based on all the Instagram and Facebook chatter that I have heard and have, people have sent screenshots of some of the discussions, and so that has worried me for us as a district.
I will say, just so everybody knows, there is a little bit of a built-in protection there. The way state aid functions, there's a 3-year rolling number. You're funded off your 3-year high. And what that is, in the past, is to protect schools with enrollment that's decreasing. Then it gives you a 3-year window. If your enrollment continues dropping, you can still be funded on that high in the 3 years. So say this year, if for some reason we lose a lot of kids, we will still be funded off last year's numbers. So we'll just take whatever our initial cut that we think it is, whatever the per student weight is. So using that as a backup, but that is a little bit of a buffer, in this crisis. If we do end up losing those, you do have a good 2-year buffer to work through it, whether they come back or you have to plan to make cuts because nobody's coming back. So it's not like after that first year, there's just going to be a dramatic cut because of kids leaving. Now, we will take just the per student cut that every school will take. Okay.
That
Yeah,
makes
more
more,
questions?
well, it just makes sense, and I want the community to know this, and the more ways that we, from newspaper articles to on our website, explanations, and the more better we are informed,
Yes, ma'am.
then we can respond.
Okay, that kind of goes into the finance section. As I said, we typically have our first students and our initial state aid allocation by now. We still don't have it. It's out, sent me an email every day, says not yet. So we're looking at that every day.
And it's still not yet.
Yeah. And just looking for the year, and I know without that coming out, I'm speculating, but I'm not. I know that the cuts are gonna be pretty big. State aid. By the end of the year, I truly anticipate around $1 million less than state aid, no matter what our initial allocation is. By the time it's all said and done, I think that we'll lose about $1 million. And then also that's compounded between our COVID spending, that's either materials and also additional staff, cleaning. We've added some new teaching positions. We're going to spend between $600,000 and $700,000 more this coming year out of general fund response and also in the staff. So those two things coming together are not great. We're in a really good financial situation coming into the year, so that's very helpful to be there. So we'll be able to weather it just fine, but it will take good management going forward, and hopefully it's resolves as quickly as possible. And we'll get back on track.
Expect any additional COVID not CARES Act funds from the state?
Well, that's, the federal government is talking about a second round, and from everything I've read, they've talked about including something for schools. What that is, I've not seen any kind of numbers. It would be hard to know what Oklahoma's cut would be and what that would be, but I'm more optimistic as I read each day on some of the federal updates that, which I know there's gonna be a lot of fighting over because there's stuff they want in and don't want in, but it seems the education part is pretty universal. So I anticipate getting something, and there may be strings attached, and they have to go to X, Y, and Z, but anyway, we give them, appreciate it. But I look to get something. I have no clue to tell you what it might be. Also, just a note, and I told you guys in the email as well, the annual conference, was this be a conference, has been canceled. So it is important for each of you to look online and try to sign up for some virtual training. You do have yearly requirements as far as points that you have to get. If you have any troubles or issues, please call me. We'll help you get signed up or whatever you need. We can tell you where you're at on points. If you need something, don't need something. And I'm also working with OSSBA to try to bring them in and maybe doing on-site whole board training, just for an hour or 2 hours not on the board meeting night because that'll make it really long, but if we can pick a night where we can all get together and just have a short meeting just for that, no other business, looking into trying to do that. And I'll coordinate that with you guys once I get some dates for them to see if you're available.
Mr. Ashlock,
Yes.
I have a question here. Do we have to accumulate so many points every year, or is it something that we have to have so many points by the time that we opt to
I understand what you're saying. Yes, you do have to have so many by the time you choose to run again. It's a general structure to get them each year, because if you get too far behind, then it's impossible to make them all up. But it is possible I had board members in the past who weren't able to attend the conference, but they still caught up on points. So it is possible. I just don't recommend that you go a year without getting any points.
Yeah. Well, I have been to the last 2 years. I've been to conferences.
Yes.
And accumulated points at both conferences. So, it would seem to me that I would probably have all the points I would need if I decided that I wanted to run for re-election, which.
And me and Brittany can look at that and we can let you know. That way, I don't want you signing up for stuff that you don't need. So we can tell you.
I appreciate that.
You're very welcome.
Not that I'm looking to get out of something. I'm not, I just.
Not at all. Graduation will be this Friday. The ceremony is going to start around 7. We anticipate probably starting a little bit later just because of taking temperatures and tickets and getting everybody in. But our hope is to start around 7. The gates will open for parents at 6:30. My request to you is, the stage will be out there. Just be near your seat. We'll show you where that is when you get there, but just be ready at 6:50 at the latest. I know the sun's going to be beaten down, so if you want to stand in the shade until then, that's fine with me.
I have a question on that also. It's going to be quite warm still at 7 o'clock, particularly if we look at the forecast for Friday. How necessary is it that all the faculty and all of us and so on are wearing robes in that heat where there's no?
I will just say to this, we've asked everybody to wear them, and if somebody chooses not to, I'm not gonna get upset about it. We're there for the kids, and we're gonna have graduation, and that will be the least of my worries.
So that would apply to all of the faculty and students as well?
If a teacher doesn't want to wear it, then we're not gonna make a big deal. I know we would like everybody to. This is the normal decorum, and we're trying to have a traditional graduation the best we can. So.
Well, I asked that even though, as I've already told you, and I apologize to the rest of the board, but I do not plan on being there that night anyway. But I was just thinking about overall everyone. It is going to be very hot, and there are no oak trees growing in the middle of the football field, and don't have any head coverings, so the sun beating down. I just was very concerned about that.
Yes, I understand. I'll have mine on, but I might have shorts and tennis shoes on underneath it. So we'll try to do as good as we can. So.
Okay.
And also, we're asking all the students to wear masks, so everybody on the field, just please have your mask on. Ms. Davenport, is there anything else you'd like to mention for graduation that I missed?
I think that's it. I
Okay.
think that's a pretty good coverage.
Ms. Wilson, I'm sorry, it's gonna take me a while to say that right. Baccalaureate will be Wednesday at 6 in the PAC. We really don't have a role. I sit in the back of the room, so you're all welcome to come, do the same. Special board meeting, I would like, if everybody is available, on Tuesday, August the 4th at 6 o'clock. And if you're not, please tell me, that's not set in stone, that's just a date, okay, to have another special meeting. And the reason being, we are still waiting on our attorney and some other things as far as some policies for masks, staff who travel, students who travel, because they're inundated as well with these requests. We just don't have all that stuff prepared right now. And then also handbooks with all the changes that we're having to make to those. We have 2 for a first read tonight, but we still have a lot that we haven't had a chance. And the principals are working hard, directors and everybody, but we didn't have a chance to get those on this meeting. And our next regular meeting is after school starts. So if we could just have that meeting, and all I plan to do is have policies and handbooks. And obviously, if something else comes up, we'll put it on there. But does anybody have a problem with that date, August 4th at 6?
No, I do not.
Okay, we'll go forward with that plan. The last couple things I want to talk about, we'll have a calendar that you'll approve tonight with our distance learning days. Another decision that we made, currently on Fridays, we have late start Fridays for PLCs. Very, very valuable, and it's a hard decision to make, but PLCs on a normal year without COVID present some issues with supervision. Our teachers are in groups training, which obviously we're trying to limit the group exposure, but then also we had an issue with people still dropping their kids off at the same time, whether it was late start Friday or Thursday, whatever the case may be. So instead of trying to fight that battle, instead of worrying about supervising those kids, and instead of bringing our teachers together even more, I'm going to ask that when you approve that calendar, what I've done is I've just removed late start Fridays from the calendar. And that will just be, I'm anticipating for the school year, obviously, but as soon as, conditions are right where we can do that again, that's not something that we will leave off forever. It will come back, but whenever we feel we can do it safely, that's something I'll recommend. Ms. Jones did mention, we got the SAMHSA grant. I sent you guys an email today, kind of a partnership with Tahlequah Best. It's not, it will bring some things to the school, but it's more of a community grant. We keep SWAT going in all the schools, ours included. The compliance checks throughout the district will give us a couple of new employees who will grant pay for as preventionists and support workers. And then it also gives us some new bait detectors for the high school, which will almost outfit, I don't know 100% for sure, but I think we'll be able to outfit high school and middle school, all their bathrooms by the time school starts, or a little bit after. So that will be one good thing out of it. It's $1.5 million over 5 years, $300,000 a year. And it allows Tahlequah Best to stay in existence and keep working. They're a valuable community partner. And so we're very excited about that. And just the last thing I want to mention, I want to thank Robert Batson, all the new setup in here technology-wise. He's gone above and beyond setting up in here, setting up the cafeteria, last minute notice. And he's done a great job. So it's not something he normally does, coming on board meetings, doing these things, but he's done it cheerfully. So I just want to recognize him. Thank him for that work. Thank you. And that is my report.
So the photos are gone.
We're looking at, because
Oh,
I knew a couple of you went here. Yeah, Myers is still there.
Wendy, do we have any public to be heard?
Mr. I just, first of all, I wanted to say, Mr. Myers made the comment, I'm not gonna attend graduation either, just, I haven't been to any large events, and my first one's not gonna be with hundreds of people, so congratulations to all the graduates, but, I will watch online, with lots of other friends and family.
I saw today, and I probably should ask you this, but, there's an announcement about enrolling in after-school programs, and we had to come on a specific day. Is there a specific reason why parents have to come in person and they can't sign up online for that?
Yes.
Okay, I figured there was.
And I just jot down some thoughts because I thought maybe that would be a conversation piece. So we sent the after-school enrollment forms home in the packets in March, February, whenever those went out. Not every site sent the enrollment forms home. There was a little bit of confusion on should we send it home with everybody? Should we send it home with just the people that are in the program right now? Or should we just hang on and send them completely separate? So we were talking about that, and then this happened. And so we never got to go back. So not every child got to take home the form to start with, was one reason. From those enrollment forms that were actually even sent out, many of them were not returned. They're still chasing hundreds of enrollments, I would assume, would be the number if I asked Ms. Lightcap. Our world has dramatically changed from when you did fill that out in March. And so now our program is not going to look like you signed up to start with. Every protocol that we're putting in during the day, we're gonna have to put that in our after-school program, and then even some other things probably. So they signed up for something that really doesn't exist now. So that was a big deterrent for me. So the patrons didn't know the procedures that we're gonna have to put in place for the program when they were signing up for them. Many addresses and phone numbers, they changed normally, but now with what's happened and just lack of funding and not being able to pay for things, it's even worse. Trying to find a valid address and a phone number is a full-time job on any given day. And it will be imperative that we have good working phone numbers and addresses in case of an emergency, in case a child gets sick, and also in case at a drop of a hat on any given day that we might have to go back to that program that we did in the month of June. So we want to be able to go see those kids, as many as we can possible as curbside connections. So if we don't know exactly where we're going, we can't make that happen. Parents are not going to be able to enter the buildings, and that day we're going to create little cards to give you that so we can put it in the car line or we can put it up to the front door. One of our students that works for us at Cherokee is in a wheelchair, and she's not going to be able to come back and forth to the door. And we don't want those people to enter. So she'd be able to see the card, and someone would not have to enter inside the door. Just the personal connection that we make with that short visit, and we're going to make it super short. We're going to have 8 to 10 people, if we possibly can, out in the car line. Someone will pull up. We're going to walk out with gloves and masks, give you a form, help you fill it out. As you're doing that, we've got a little information sheet, kind of say some of the different things about program. So we'll pass that out. We're also going to check to see if they have any holds on their enrollment when parents come through, because there are many holds on enrollment right now. And they will also have the opportunity to sign for the tech enrollment form when they go. Lunch forms are out. We might even try to throw that in there as well. So it's just one first step to try to get a swoop of all of those things. Program's going to start day one, and that takes tons of preparation. Not only do we have to enroll, like Tammy puts them all into a Boys and Girls Club system that takes hours and hours, I would assume, Tammy. But then we have to do that for our 21st century grants as well. Typically, you would have, say 20. If you had 60 second graders, you might have 20 that stayed for after school. We don't want that many kids in one room if we can possibly do that in after school. And so we're working with our teachers to try to get more teachers to stay, even if it's for 30 minutes or for an hour every day. So if you have 20 home rooms and I can talk 20 people into working a little bit extra every day, those kids can stay in the groups they've already been all day long, instead of then changing to another group and then having even more contamination with other students they haven't approached that day. It's almost like planning for the entire school, but in a couple hours in a different form. So these were some of the reasons that we made that decision. It was something that I'd gone to Ms. Matchburn, Mr. Ashlock, and Ms. Lightcap, and just felt like for the sake of the program, to get it as good as we possibly can, we needed to start over.
I saw it today, and I posted on there and asked, and I knew that someone would be here tonight to answer the questions, and I'm sure a lot of other folks are like, why can't you do this online? So thank you for that.
Well, you're welcome, and I will try this, I told the directors, hey, watch those comments. I gave them this and said, here's some reasons that we're going to do that, try to get that information out to parents, and just the people that have asked me, I'm just like, thanks for being flexible. I know it's not ideal, but we will do our darndest to make it as quick and possible, and, maybe get to see a baby that we've not been able to see for a while as they can wave from the car.
That's ideal. My only other comment, question, Mr. Ashwell, and is it, you, Mr. Pack have both addressed this, that there was lots and lots of talk on social media about teachers wearing scrubs because they take them off and wash them and they're durable and they don't have to get their good clothes dirty. And you all have spoken about that. Update us about that a little bit.
As far as an update, I just asked Mr. Pack to bring that as far as the list of negotiations. We'll do next week over that. I'll let the count anybody that has flexible, just about everything that we can this year. We're gonna ask all of our employees to be flexible with something at some point, so anytime we can return favor, we'll do so.
Something I got some direct, I saw your post and all of the comments on it, but then I got some direct contact on that as well. And teachers seem to be very much or staff seem very much in favor of that, So that's it. Thank you.
So my name is Chuck Pack, and I stand before you not as a citizen, but as the president of Top Education Association. And primarily what I want to say on behalf of your teachers, thank you. We greatly appreciate Mr. Ashlock, your leadership in this crisis that no living person can get through. Our directors, our principals, the work that's going on behind the scenes is phenomenal. And I know some of our teachers are frustrated, they don't have the answer right now. And some of those answers are changing. The right now is different than what it was 5 minutes ago. So thank you. We support you. We're ready to do this with you. You had asked at the last board meeting for us you asked me a question. Do our teachers support me? I think it was the AB plan at the moment we were discussing. And I couldn't give you an answer because I didn't have it. So what our building reps did at the high school was surveyed our staff, our teachers, and we had 91 responses in about a 24-hour period. So I gave you those responses. You can see where their hearts and minds are, where some of the things that you asked about, they're kind of all over the place. They're very concerned about social distancing, and Ms. Wilson will tell you it's not going to be possible, it's not feasible to do CDC guidelines social distancing. We will do the best that we can. You can see the teachers have a lot of comments on their cruising. On the issue of, are you concerned about coming back to school and catching the virus yourself or taking it home to your family? There are people on both ends. We had 25 of the 91 that responded that said, not at all, I'm ready to go. What are we worried about? All the way over to 28 that said, oh my goodness, I need to update my will now. And I'm serious about updating your will. So many teachers that are listening online, if you're a member of OEA, that is a service that OEA offers, and you can reach out to them and get it. Our numbers in the Oklahoma City office of people requesting updates for their will is up tremendously. The workload is heavy there. So both ends of the spectrum is what we have in Tahlequah as well, like at the high school. Do you fall into an at-risk category? I was surprised by this. It's a little less than half of our teachers, either they or someone in their household, falls into an at-risk category. I expected it to be high because I believe it's about 25% or so of the nation's teachers are over the age of 50, but it was surprising to me it was about half. What would be your preference about returning to work was the next question. And you can see that the 63% said, I'm ready to come back to the building. But then there are numbers of folks that say, no, I'd really like to work from home. I'm going to have to consider another career or something else. We're on. We did go ahead and ask them about that AB model plan because you had asked. Where are you with that? And you can see there's not a good consensus. It was a 60-40 split, 60% favoring, 40% opposed to it, because there isn't a good plan, right? There are plans that have good aspects, but they have holes. Any plan you come up with has a hole in it that somewhere, somehow you're going to miss something, you're going to anger someone in the community or someone in the school community. It's just, the task isn't a impossible task. And this one, I was very pleased with. How do you what do you feel confident in your ability to provide quality distance learning? And the scale there was a 1 through 5, and you can see that overwhelmingly our faculty believe they can do this. They can provide education that's quality at a distance. That was a pleasant surprise. And then finally, the last question there was, what do you feel is the best way to come back to school? You know, if you're fussing about this plan or that plan or this other plan, what's your way to go? And you can see it's all around the wheel, right? Nobody has a good idea. The idea about 4 days and then one of them being a virtual received 16 folks, about 18%. It's just there's a mix all around. Nobody really has a solid plan. It's like, oh, this is the way to go. So I wanted to end this with something that Rob Miller, if you know Rob, he's superintendent over at Bixby Public Schools. He's someone that I respect, and many that in Oklahoma hold in high regard. And I wanted to give you a little bit of what he shared with his school yesterday. At the risk of coming across overly preachy, I'm suggesting today that we need to move beyond these relatively minor differences, seek to find common ground. Part of this relates to agreeing to assume the best intentions of others and seek to understand others' perspectives. To endeavor to use words which unite rather than divide. To commit to the premise that we are all trying to do our best to serve, support, and protect our students, our community members, and our employees. To strive to model for our children and each other how to disagree with passion, yet also with respect and courtesy. To bring out the best in all of us and adorn ourselves with personal qualities of empathy, grace, and patience. This man can write. Even in these challenging times, we can make the best of our circumstances and proceed with dignity, respect, and common interests. Together, we have a shared mission to empower every child with the skills, knowledge, and attitudes they will need for success in life. Even when not in school, children are learning important attributes from us about resiliency, courage, strength, and passion. With the recent passing of civil rights leader John Lewis, it seems appropriate to end with a quote that he made during difficult times. What I try to tell young people is that if you come together with a mission and it's grounded with love, a sense of community, you can make the impossible possible. That's what I think Caldwell School is doing. The ask of returning to school in August, that's an impossible ask. Yet we are coming together and we're doing it. And I wanted to express on behalf of our association gratitude. So,
Thank you.
May I ask Mr. Pack,
Yes,
that if you could, when you go home or so, just drop a copy of that in my mailbox?
yes, sir, will do.
You have a copy of your email, Mr. Myers?
It is in your email, but I'll bring you a paper copy too.
Oh, well, that's okay then. That's fine. Thank you.
Item F, discussion and vote to approve or not approve updated 2020-21 school calendar, including distance learning days.
Second.
Any discussion?
I need to hear that one more time, please, Dana.
Discussion and vote to approve or not to approve updated 2020-21 school calendar, including distant learning days. And I have a motion and a second, and I think Mr. Ashlock's gonna say something.
Basically, this is the calendar to start the year as far as the start, the finish, and the holidays. All those dates, none of them has changed. Our discussion last month was, when to incorporate our distance day. We put our survey out for Wednesday or Friday. I allowed that to run until this morning. We had a little over 59% favored Fridays. So that's what this will reflect. I'll go over the dates with you. What I did do, my initial thought, I was kind of planning out the whole year. My haste to say, well, let's go start to finish. Upon more reflection, I think it's I don't know how beneficial it is to plan the second semester right now as far as business learning days, because if we get to the second semester and we need a lot of them, then we probably have bigger problems with having a distance Friday. If we get to the second semester and things are better and we don't need them, there's no point to be out. So I just focused on the first semester and took out the second semester. So we can always come back later if we need to add some and do that. And then also, with some of the concerns with extracurricular and then some of the other concerns that were brought up as far as Ms. Lightcap and I talked on the elementary side of it. There's a lot of screenings and a lot of different things that take place for elementary kids. And a lot of those things were done on Fridays. agencies can't do them other days. Removing those days is gonna put our elementaries behind trying to get that stuff done. A lot of it's required by the state. So I tried to come to a compromise on that. So instead of just having 6 in a row, right out of the gate, what we've done is our first 2 Fridays, on the 21st and the 28th. We start on Thursday, so we're not going right on that Friday. The first full week, the 21st and the 28th, we'll have our first 2 learning days. So that will be the first full week of school that we'll be able to get out there and let our kids practice that way, because it's very possible, once we all come together after a few weeks, we may have to close down for an extended period of time. So as quick as we can at least have a day or 2, that way, that first Friday, there's a lot of issues, they can come back on Monday and we can start working on those. That way, if we have to do it long term, we've at least had a little bit of a dry run, that way everybody's not at home trying to figure it out. And then what I've done, instead of doing the first 6, we did those 2 in August, and I've done 1 a month for that semester. We did the 18th of September, just tried to do it in the middle of the month, that we had some time to have some full weeks in there before we did another one. And then in October, we did the 23rd, and then on November, we did the 20th, and buttered up against, Thanksgiving break. So I thought, in my mind, that was a good compromise between my initial thoughts and some of the concerns. Obviously, we will still have some Fridays out. There'll be 2 Fridays that we have football games. The first 2 are scrimmages, so in my mind, that's not such a big deal as a regular game. But now we're just 2 games instead of 8 football games throughout the season. So not ideal, I know, but since the vote did go towards Fridays, we try to work it in best I could. So that's what I arrived at with that. And then also, this calendar reflects the removal of the late start Fridays. Typically, those were highlighted on here, and the time was up. The box is saying that this is your report on Fridays. So we removed that. So this is the same initial calendar with the addition of the distance learning days, which are highlighted and noted on the side, and then the removal of the late start Fridays. This is our initial back to school plan. I stay with everything, depending on numbers, cases. There's all kinds of things that could happen. In a month, we may be on a totally different plan. A month after that, it may be another plan. But this is our best attempt to start the year.
This calendar still reflects parent teacher conferences.
They are reflected on there just because we've not come to a decision exactly how we will handle those. Obviously, opening up our doors and just letting parents come in and walk around and meet with teachers is not going to go with our policies, but we're still working on the best way to do that, whether it's individual appointments by Zoom. We're efforting that to the best we can right now. I didn't want to take them off because we had to make a decision.
Northeastern's not gonna observe fall break. We're gonna go to school because we're gonna take the whole week of Thanksgiving, which we usually just take Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So.
And we may be in a situation where we do similar. At this point, we met with all Cherokee County schools. Every school in Cherokee County is either starting on August the 10th or the 13th. They're all offering a virtual option. They're all offering a traditional option. None of them are doing a half, like we talked about the AV option. Some of them are incorporating some distance days out of school. Some are doing a distance day in school in lieu of being out. But the county is pretty lockstep as far as what we're all doing for our kids. So that was good to hear. They're not all on board with the masks and stuff as we are right now, but there was a strong consensus that if the state doesn't require it, the county may come together and all the schools will require it after all this. I'm not speaking for them, I'm not saying that's what will happen, but there was some discussion that would be the case going forward.
Any more discussion? I have a motion and a second. Ms. Nemo? Aye. Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Walker? Aye. Mr. Myers?
Aye.
And aye. Discussion and vote to approve or not approve the first reading of the following handbooks, manuals for the 2020-21 school year.
I move to approve.
Second that.
Do you have any discussion?
And this is typically at this meeting, we would have all of our handbooks on there for a first read. So we would have a full month of the program. obviously with the situation, we're gonna get them out to you as soon as we can before the next meeting. Any changes will be just in direct reference to COVID procedures, things that we may do. There's not, I can't think of any changes that we're making other than that. But these two handbooks are the ones that we have ready to go. You're not voting to approve them tonight, you're just approving that you're going to do a first read and look over them. And then when we come back at our next board meeting, we'll actually approve those final. So I do apologize for not having them all ready for a first read for you. But we're, our principals and directors are working themselves ragged, trying to get everything done. And this is one little piece of the puzzle, so it's something that we will get to you. And so we'll just plan on doing that on August 4th.
Ms. Walker,
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd,
Aye.
Ms. Nemo,
Aye.
Mr. Myers,
Aye.
and I. Discussion and vote to approve or not approve the following surplus.
To approve, H1 and 2.
Got a second?
Second that.
Okay, any discussion? Ms. Nemo,
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd,
Aye.
Ms. Walker, Mr. Myers,
Aye.
and I. Discussion and vote to approve or not approve the following bids and quotes.
I move to approve the bid for shade coverage for Talcott Middle School cafeteria.
Second that.
Have some discussion, do you want to talk about that?
And it is in your packet. There's a diagram of what it looked like the patio outside of the cafeteria. The middle school cafeteria is quite small for our student load, middle school. And the high school, we're able to incorporate another lunch. And middle school, we're just having a difficult time figuring out how to distance. Mr. Jones, Mr. Underwood found that option, about $20,000 per month, but it will give them a lot of space outdoor when weather allows, but then also when it's raining or something, you still go out there now that we have it covered in the sun. So it will just give our middle school administration and teachers just a little bit of extra space to get them outside. If anybody doesn't feel good about eating inside, whether it's nice, it'll go out, but it is a little costly, but I think it'll be very beneficial to help our middle school staff to social distance at the meal times.
I guess the principal.
I'm gonna leave that to Mrs. Mashburn and Mrs. Lane. Or Mrs. Keys. I will let them decide who gets to go out there and eat.
Any other discussion? Ms. Walker,
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd,
Aye.
Ms. Nemo,
Aye.
Mr. Myers,
Aye.
and I. Business items, the consent docket to approve or not approve the following. Is that right? Agreement with Missouri State University?
Yes.
Okay,
I move to approve items J1, A through C, and 2.
I'll second that.
And the agreements, the first one is art instruction. We have a contract with NSU, who's helping with our technology training. For our district.
I'm having a hard time hearing.
I'm sorry, Ed. The contracts, we have 3 of them on there. The first one is just for some extra art instruction for the elementary students for Cherokee culture. And then we also have a contract with Mrs. Fuller at NSU to do some virtual training for our staff if they need some technology on the front side of our virtual program. And then also an agreement with Missouri State University. They have one speech path intern that they'd like to place here this year. So we've not worked with them in the past, so we have to put that on to approve. The fundraisers on item 2, these are the same fundraisers that we approve every year. I would add the caveat, we are approving them as a whole, but if any of these fundraisers cannot be done, safely or social distancing or whatever the case may be, they won't be allowed. But this is the general, and the teachers and the sponsors, they'll just work with the principal. Hey, is this still good to go? And as long as we can do it safely, which most of them we can, but we'll review those on a case by case basis just to make sure they're not doing something that's putting kids in harm's way or teachers or whatever the case may be. But we still know those groups need to raise money, so we want to approve everything, but then we'll just kind of look at it as we go through the
Any other discussion? Ms. Nemo?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Walker?
Aye.
Mr. Myers?
Aye.
And I. Item K, discussion and vote to approve or not approve the schedule of encumbrances.
I move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Nemo?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Ms. Walker?
Aye.
Mr. Myers?
Aye.
And I. Motion and vote to approve or not approve personnel items.
I move to approve items L1 and L2 with noting these following positions. Hewitt, school nurse, Adam Rothmiller, facility sanitation specialist, Jody Cox, facility sanitation specialist, Rhonda Baird, facility sanitation specialist, Cindy Dallas, facility sanitation specialist, Morgan Smith, Cherokee and PT Parasub, Lisa Tuck, Greenwood Elementary counselor, and Brody Jones, Greenwood Special Care Para.
And these are all filling open positions with the exception of the 4 facility sanitation specialists. We talked about this previously. You know, we purchased the electrostatic sprayers, so basically our normal custodial group, we added a custodian to that. We'll do our normal enhanced cleaning throughout the day as we would. But then after the day is over, these people will come in at night and they'll spray down every surface in the school, every desk, cafeteria. It's supposed to kill everything that it touches. You know, you don't have to wipe it down. It just attaches itself and dries on its own. So just kind of another layer of protection for our kids and staff. And we'll keep them employed as long as it'll be for at least a year. Hopefully it's not something we need forever, but we'll keep them as long as we need to. Just a little extra layer of safety to make sure things are sanitized at times.
That's every site.
We're gonna go through every side.
Cindy Dallas is
That's good,
good.
yeah.
Any other discussion? Oh, we do need a second. I need a second. Okay. Okay, so I have a motion by Sean, a second by Lori. So Ms. Walker. Mr. Shepherd.
Aye.
Ms. Nemo.
Aye.
Mr. Myers.
Aye.
And I. Do we have any new business?
No.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Myers.
Aye.
Ms. Nemo.
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd.
Aye.
Ms. Walker.
Aye.
And I.